Well, I think it's all this struggle of what is life in existence? What does it mean to have a father or a human or a parental to create?
Does being
to
born
exist?
make you alive, or does
Right.
being created make you alive? Or is it both? That I think those
Right.
are the theories that we explore with this movie. I mean, we're such touching barely on this film, but yeah, I feel like these are the themes of the story.
Well, hey, Gretchen.
Hi.
We are back with another episode. It is the Check the Gate podcast where Gretchen and I watch a movie and then we get to talking about it and we never know where the conversation is going to lead us to. And this episode...
Your pick.
I am overly joyed to talk about this movie. It is the 1982 science fiction classic, probably one of the pinnacle science fiction films of all of filmmaking. This is Ridley Scott's Blade Runner.
Would you say this was like his magnum opus of films?
I think... and very specifically, we watched the 2007 recut that he did. This one's called The Final Cut.
Which I think he's like, that was it. I'm done.
That was it, because
Yeah.
he had done a director's cut prior that he had diddled with some things, and then this one was his final cut. Is this his magnum opus? I would say this is probably definitely like one of the 2 or 3 best films. I'm very hit and miss on Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
When he hits it out of the park. He has made 3 absolutely magnificent films that will stand the test of time for as long as I exist, that have made indelible marks on cinema.
Absolutely.
And aside from that, he's made a couple of other good films and then some not so good films.
Yeah.
But he's been prolific in his filmmaking, and he has his vision, and he does what he's going to do, and I can salute him for that. Is this his opus? Boy, I don't know. It's really close.
Really amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
This is another director we're doing that is like spectacularly prolific as far as filmmaking, and again makes beautiful small or giant universes of films.
Yeah. And this was a very opportunistic film when it came to our timing on all of this, because in Portland, where we are, we have the Hollwood Theatre, and the Hollwood Theatre is having their Summer of Celluloid. They're running all of these 35 millimeter films. There's been a whole massive string of them. There's some of their regulars that they have, but and I've been watching a ton of films there, and one of those happened to be Blade Runner: The Final Cut in 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
And it's not a cleaned up like 4K restoration where they got rid of the film grain and then put it back onto film. It is a 35 millimeter print.
I didn't see that one. I saw the restoration final cut version that was on on Apple Plus that you could purchase.
Yeah. Did it have a lot of the kind of film grain and little glitchy stuff that carried over?
No,
they cleaned it all up.
It was so spectacularly beautiful that it looked like I was looking at a window.
Oh wow!
And it was gorgeous, but it left like the lens flares and those kinds of things.
Sure.
But definitely looked like I was literally looking through the window.
Nice. Well, so I got to see it again on a 35 millimeter print on the big screen with the big sound.
The way it's meant to be.
And and it has the film grain in it. It has the little film artifacting in it, but it's still so beautiful. It's
gorgeous.
Such a gorgeous film. There's so much to unpack with this film. Let's get started on this, because there's just so much. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to let you begin, because I can just I'm going to go on and on about this.
So how I kind of came about this is I'm a big Philip K. Dick fan. I read the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep when I was pretty young, honestly. I got into science fiction, that kind of science fiction. I would say that I hate to press that I'm a science fiction fan, because honestly, I'm not. But I have specific writers that I really love, like William Gibson and Philip K. Dick, Isaac Asimov. So more science-y versus the like fantastical stuff like people get into with like dragons and crap like that. That's just not my thing. But this, when I was a little kid, I didn't really relate to other people very well. And so I always felt like I think I literally remember telling somebody in elementary school that I was a replicant. And they were like, what the hell is that? But I mean, I was so sure that I was such a weirdo, and I still am, that I was a replicant, that I couldn't possibly be like going to school with these idiots, and that I was artificial. What does that say about me? But that being said, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? This movie is such a departure from that book, but
very much so.
But premise-wise, there's a few characters, and the idea of artificial humans and artificial animals that look real is, I guess, what we're still drawing from for this.
Yeah, I have a paperback. I don't know what printing it is, but it is a paperback printing that is prior to the film that I got somewhere in my journey.
A novelization of it?
Yes.
I love a good novelization of a film.
Yeah.
That's my...
No,
I collect those.
No, I apologize. No, it's not a novelization of the film. It is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
Okay,
that's what I was meaning.
Because that came out in 1968.
Yeah, I have a paperback edition that I got somewhere. Like I said, I don't know the printing date on it. It's somewhere in the late 70s to early 80s, but it's one that doesn't say soon to be a major motion picture.
Same, mine's like that
prior
too.
to the film. Yeah, so it's one of my coveted book treasures. I actually have I have a Book of the Wills, Star Wars, The Adventures of Luke Skywalker. And it was written a book. Well, it was written as a book for Star Wars, but it's not the film that we see on the screen. It's the short story novelization that was written while the film was in production, that was pulled from the script. And it has the original artwork on it that doesn't look anything like any of the artwork.
Weird.
So, like, I
didn't even know this was the thing.
Yeah, so I have like the book of Star Wars when it was the Book of the Wills, The Adventures of Luke Skywalker, Star Wars.
That's rad. That's rad.
And so this sits on the shelf next to that Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and does not say it is about to be made into a film. But it's been a very long time since I've read it. And I admit I have more of an attachment to the film because I watched the film before I found the book. I found the book in a used bookstore, got it, read it, have continued to be a fan of the films, the versions, the theatrical and then the director's cut. But I definitely find, if I remember correctly, the struggle of Deckard is a lot more just depressing. He's really a depressed.
Yeah, he's not like Harrison Ford makes him into or Ridley Scott makes him into a more of a detective noir kind of story. The book definitely doesn't have that kind of tone. It kind of sits on my shelf I have a collection of Philip K. Dick books that I love his more esoteric, bizarre stuff. Like when he started seeing like laser beams giving him information kind of era of like Philip K. Dick. Like it's, what is it? Like the three stigmatas of film, Palmer Eldritch, or Eldritch Palmer. I can't remember. Anyways, that one or Valis, like those kinds of those stories are more his interpretations of humanity. And I think that's kind of what we see in the beginnings of this, is that this is a story about what makes us human. What is a defining characteristic of humanity? What are humans versus an artificial person?
Right.
And now we have that question again, now that we have the advent of AI. Like, this is only like the beginning.
And even with our drone technology, I mean, our flying drones have become one thing, which are just completely off the hook. But this desire to have walking four-legged and two-legged androids, drones of stuff now. I mean, we literally have people now in parades who are out there walking with their like canine drone unit that's made to be like an infiltration machine. Like we're making Ed 209s for whatever reason.
Well, and we're making, what are they like? What is that dog? The dog from Doctor Who, Canine.
Yeah.
We're making those. I mean, this is the steps, the beginnings of this. This is the, what is it? The Skynet. The I Am Robot. You know,
right. The stuff that will become self-aware on
right.
us.
I mean,
it's not. They're no longer cautionary tales, but documentaries. Yeah. It's crazy. Well, in a lot of ways, this film is like becoming very actualized in our world. Though we're not getting dark and rainy, we're getting hot and scorched.
Right.
We're going the other way.
We're going more Danny Boyle sunshine.
Yeah.
Versus this.
It's true.
Yeah. This movie had such an impact on me as a kid. But I don't think I understood. Obviously, I didn't understand the film itself, like what it meant. But I think for me, my takeaway was that I was like, I'm clearly a replicant. I'm not a person.
Yeah.
And because I just felt so fish out of water with my peers, just being like a performing kid and things like that. So I think that probably was a good interpretation for my child brain that was like, I'm a replicant, not like everybody else.
Yeah, I get that. I really wanted to be a Jedi.
Oh, yeah. I love that you're like, I want to be a Jedi. And I'm all like, I'm just a fake person.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to be anything other than what my peers were. And I guess in the same vein, my whole idea was that I was hoping that there was a greater adventure that awaited me somewhere else, that I'm not this little farm boy from this place in town, that the universe has bigger plans for me and that I'm going to have a hero's journey. Like I desperately wanted to believe that because I was growing in a little arid farming town.
Like Tatooine.
Yeah.
Good on me knowing that because
Nice
like,
work.
honestly, Star Wars is not Star Wars is not my nerd.
That's not getting cut out. So let's go back to Blade Runner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fired.
Oh, no.
My
Absolutely
partner
not.
probably just cringed internally somewhere. Like, wow.
I love it. I absolutely love
Wow.
it. Yeah. So Blade Runner, this film, there's so much to talk about here, but we're going to keep it to our usual like hour and a little bit over kind of discussion. But I mean, literally, this is one of those films that I could do a dissertation on.
Right.
And it's amazing to see the influence that this film still has today in people's idea of post-apocalyptic worlds and megacities.
It is also the advent of cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
I was lucky enough that last year when I was in LA, I got to go to the Academy Film Museum. They were running an exhibit, just happenstance, on cyberpunk. And in that, they showed parts of Blade Runner. There was the matte paintings, the imagery from the film that was showcased and shown examples of like stage art, like interpretations and storyboard art and work like that. And they had that in like Akira, Cronenberg's existence. They had, they had Mobius's art for Tron. Like, I didn't realize that Mobius
Mobius did anything for Tron.
I know.
Yeah, because Mobius was doing that artwork that was supposed to be for Dune with what's his butt?
with Jodorowsky.
Jodorowsky, yes, thank you.
Yeah, no, he had drawn some storyboard artwork for Tron.
That's gotta be trippy.
It was the coolest exhibit. I was like, how did I manage to this? Because this is my bag. I was totally stoked for that. I couldn't believe how beautiful I didn't realize that a lot of the matte paintings that were done for this film were done on black. And that they were lit up from behind. There was they had done small monofilament lighting, or not monofilament, but small lighting.
Yeah.
Is monofilament around at that time? I don't know.
The monofilament would have been. I'm not sure if they use it for
they had lit up the way those, when you see those scenes where they were looking at the back of the cars and there's all the lens flare and whatnot, those matte paintings are done with lights in the painting that they physically put in the painting and lit up at different eras to look like city lights.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
This film. So I guess for the people that don't know, I'll lay the premise down on this whole thing and then we'll just dig into whatever we want to dig into. But just in case anyone hasn't seen this film before, you can get an idea. Go watch this film if you can. But here's going to be the premise of what we have is that we're in a post-apocalyptic world. It's 2019. Which is
boy.
Great to watch in 2025. But it is off-world is a part of that, and we live in an existence where a corporation, the Tyrell Corporation, has created slave work, which are people they're not people. They have created these units that are replicants. They've figured out how to bioengineer basically slave labor. And it's they're aware, they can think, they can take orders. They're not like metal machines. They are living organic pieces of equipment that have very short lifespans on them.
4 years.
4 years for this particular style, the Nexus 6 version that they have, but there's a variety. There's all sorts of different kinds. There had been some problems. They've forced them to only be off-world now, but you can get some on-world. And with this world, a lot of things are synthetic, like the animals are all synthetic. People can't own real animals. There are very few of them, and they're very expensive. So synthetic snakes, synthetic birds, synthetic fish. So it's a very synthetic, fake world. And Earth is kind of the throwback place now. They don't really ever talk about what's off-world, but they're always talking about the opportunities of the off-world colonies. So that is something that permeates this whole film, is always the marketing and advertising of leaving this Earth, going somewhere else to the opportunities of the off-world. But we are with our person, Deckard, who is part of the police department, who is in a special unit of the Blade Runners. And their job is to retire replicants that are on-world and are out of control. So and that's how our setup is with this, is that we have 6 of them that had escaped. 2 of them ended up getting fried as part of one of the jobs when they get onto Earth. They're all trying to, but we essentially are coming in with 4 replicants that have gotten back to Earth.
And they were murderers.
And we had one that was a heavy equipment operator. It could lift 600 pounds. But then we had 2 of them that were military units that were made for like kick murder squad and assassin attack units. And then we have a pleasure model. And so we don't really know a whole lot about them quite yet. What the deal is, but we know that they have escaped and now they're back on Earth, and we have to join our character Deckard as he goes and tries to figure out who they are, where they are, what they want, and then ultimately retire them, to take them out of commission. And that's our premise. Oh man, now we get to talk about everything else.
Gosh, I love the universe that this is in. This film is so lush in a different way, not in a warm velvet painting kind of way, but more like in a overly saturated, claustrophobic, but also vast in its own way. It's overcrowded. The world is overpopulated. All of the signs and the corporation signage and the neon and the hologram projections and those things are just so amazing. And the languages that people speak are such a melting pot of language. And I think that when we were so young when this film was made, as a world, like as a people, because there was still that an idea of the melting pot to be a thing that we would we're like this pre-Esperanto, I feel like. But yeah, this was like the idea that America was going to be a melting pot of languages and things like that. We're all going to speak multiple things. And we didn't melting pot, unfortunately. But yeah. I think this is what this universe was, kind of that Reaganistic hope, because this is what, 85?
82 is 82? When the theatrical release came out. Yeah. This is magical filmmaking time. And if we were to go back to, we had our era of filmmaking where there was a lot of Harryhausen and stop motion animation.
Sure.
People were building big sets, but you also had your your Spartacus sets and just these big, because you had no choice. The world of matte paintings and having to do any type of an optical illusion that way with how you set up your camera. But
this is when it was techniques were important for cinematographers to know and directors to know. I feel like I don't want to be like back in my day, but I feel like we've gotten away from that. We're starting to have a revitalization of that, like with like Edgar, and his DP is fucking phenomenal. But we got away from this as films, and they don't make them like they used to.
It's true for most people. Well, if we look at the Marvel cinematic way of making a film, most of that film is made before a director comes in and directs the actors in their acting moments. Yeah. They've already created a lot of the special effects that are going in there, and the animating of all of the digital versions of the characters, the action sequences, the blowing up, like a lot of that stuff is made. It's pre-visualized, and they're already working that out. And a script a lot of times is being written in service of them doing these things with an idea that they're like, this thing fits into this slot right here. We need to have this story arc for these characters that leads to this next film, that leads to this other film, that leads to this big thing. Then we transition into the next phase.
Right.
So a director, depending on the director in the film, they don't have a lot of control over what goes on. They come in and they are working with the actors on the acting scenes that are the fill-ins for the stuff that was made. Yeah, I think there was digital effects.
An interview recently with like Gwyneth Paltrow of all people, and she was like doing an interview talking about her role as Pepper Potts, and then they were saying, "Well, you were in this film," and she goes, "I was." Yeah. She goes, "I just go in and they tell me what to do, and then I act that scene, and then whatever Marvel movie that goes into," and you're like, "Whoa, yeah, that's how that goes." To me, that's good for the actors has to be at least be skillful because they're able to interpret whatever like they're thrown at them, but not knowing like the storyline that they're part of.
But it's a hamburger grinder.
Yeah.
With that is Elizabeth Olsen has a really good one. We're gonna kind of harp on Marvel here as far as like a filmmaking style to like reinforce where we were with Blade Runner, because we'll get that with the Blade Runner part, because Elizabeth Olsen talks about her time of working with doing WandaVision, which was this great series that they had. It was the first one that came out on Disney when Marvel was acquired, but then they went on to do the film Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And when they were making that, there were times where Elizabeth Olsen had to go, wait a minute, my character is doing this and this is in the story. Did you guys not actually watch the series, or did anybody not talk to you about what's going on over here? And they're like, no, we don't know anything about that, because they're making the film while WandaVision is like finishing up and getting ready to come out or is just releasing. And there's stuff in there where characters don't make sense. They're doing different things. Stuff is like, what they're being motivated by. And she's just like, okay, whatever, but that's not. And of course, a lot of the fans. But so it's a process of how the filmmaking is, and that getting us back to this world of Jaws back in the day, Star Wars back in the day, and
Aliens.
Blade Runner, Alien and Blade Runner, any of that stuff, because there were director visions for the directors that got to have their visions, and they got to have their budgets. And they are actualizing this vision. Blade Runner is so magnificent because it's starting to take that technology that was being pushed in Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back with ships and flight and camera movement, and how the camera is able to move, having multiple exposures. We're not shooting digitally yet. We're still shooting on film. So when we have miniatures, when we have matte paintings, when we have physical, and we're moving all of these things and shooting them in such a way that we create these composited shots, physically composited shots over time that make these magnificently dense, rich, organic environments. And I say organic in that they feel lived in.
Oh, that's what I mean by lush.
And this
right?
activity,
Like
exactly.
It feels real, and oh gosh, I hate
Blade
that we
Runner
use the word
feels so
tangible,
real.
but it
It
feels
is.
real.
It's practical.
It feels like a world that we're not far from.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it was supposed to be 2019.
Yeah.
But it feels like a place we should arrive in.
Yes.
I mean, it's so much more removed from like Alien, because we're going to have to tie those in later with 2049 Blade Runner. But Alien feels off-world.
Yeah.
But yet we're in the same universe, right?
No, it's not the same universe.
Oh, I thought Wayland Yutani was in 2049's Blade Runner. That was...
No, their crossovers are in, like, there's the attempt in Predator and Alien to cross over the Wayland Yutani
I thought
Corporation.
Wayland Yutani Corporation was in...
Tyrell Corporation is in Blade Runner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they're not quite crossed over that much.
Okay.
But you can see those similar, because he's got, we've got in Alien, we have the android that is in there that ends up malfunctioning, the synthetic person that we have in Alien and Aliens.
Right.
Later, when we get into Prometheus, Alien Covenant, we've got, Michael that is in there, Michael Fassbender, who is playing all of that. So there is this, Ridley Scott likes his synthetic human
contingent
storyline. Well, I think it's all this struggle of what is life in existence? What does it mean to have a father or a human or a parental to create?
Does being
to
born
exist?
make you alive, or does
Right.
being created make you alive? Or is it both? That I think
Right.
those are the theories that we explore with this movie. I mean, we're touching barely on this film, but yeah, I feel like these are the themes of the story.
Yes, and the difference between the synthetic humans of the Alien universe is that those are synthetic humans. They look like people, but most people are
robots.
usually pointed out exactly. That is this one. They are this unit. They acknowledge themselves as they are this unit. They know those things. So that's not really necessarily trying to slide one over on anyone. Whereas the replicants, those are an extension of the storytelling process in here of what is life, what is existence.
Gosh, and there are just there's so many characters in this that feel like they should be alive. I mean, Sean Young's character is stunning, for one.
Yes.
I love, there's an effect that they do. I think, is it a contact lens that they're wearing that creates like a back shine on their eyes?
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, how is that done?
So
you would think that I would know having this book here, but unfortunately I didn't get a chance to finish this book before we decided to do this movie, do this podcast.
So in animals that are more nocturnal in nature, they have what's called a tapetum lucidum.
Okay.
And you can see that effect in their eyes. It is a light gathering adaptation or evolutionary piece of their eye that they have. A lot of times you can see it in dogs and cats, various other animals, deer in headlights. You can see the lights in there. That is a tapetum lucidum. That is added after the fact. That is not in the theatrical cut. Yep, the original theatrical release, that is not there. So when we first join, we see our first replicant when we have the Voight-Comte test that is being put on Leon. and we see moments of Leon, and you can see that tapetum lucidum. And then the next time is when we're in the Tyrell Corporation with Deckard. He gets to meet Rachel, but right before he meets Rachel, he's looking at the owl, and the owl has the tapetum lucidum in
Which
him.
makes sense.
Yeah. And so I've never heard of an explanation in all of that. My idea is that because these are synthetically, genetically created beings trying to be optimal, they've probably pulled in some type of genetic modifications from other places to add to people, like the strength, the agility, the whatever. So
Right.
increased vision in night would probably be something that would be pulled from another. When we see Chew being, Chew is the person that's in the cryo lab working on the eyes.
We see the barcode
Right,
type stuff.
and they're doing
Yeah.
genetic modification on those eyes, and they're doing them. That's how I take it, is that they have added these genetic markers or these genetic pieces from others into human replicated eyes to make them better. So we see it in Rachel, and then eventually we see it in Zora when she is performing, and we see her when she is with Deckard. We see it with Pris when we first see her. It takes a little while with Roy. I noticed when we're seeing Roy, he's usually turned away at an angle for a good
Well,
portion of things.
he's a
we don't
military
see.
bot, so
He is.
His specialty is to be a subterfuge and whatnot.
Right, but we do end up seeing them, but it's after a while we
Right.
finally get these
Right.
more frontal shots when he becomes more forward confrontational with his final time with Deckard, and then we get to see that tapetum lucidum show up, and it's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So it's a great touch. And I loved seeing that in there, having not seen the final cut before, and being able to go, look at that.
That's something that so it's been so long since I've seen the original, the directors, whatever the case may be, that I didn't realize that's new.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that is in the final cut that's not in the other ones.
It's not in the theatrical release.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That might be there was the director's cut that was done in like the late 90s, like somewhere around like 90.
2007?
Well, 2007 is when the final cut comes out.
Oh, okay.
There was like a director's cut that was somewhere around like 96, I want
Wow.
to say, is where the first time that there was a director's cut that had some additional scenes and whatnot in it. I don't remember if I saw that version or not. I may have seen that one, but I don't remember noting the tapetum lucidum in that. But that adds the scenes of the unicorns in there. That gets rid of the voiceover. That's the dramatic change between the theatrical
The
and
narration
this one.
is gone.
You
Yeah.
want to talk about that?
Well, no, but I don't really remember. I mean, I remember thinking, I was like, is something missing? And I now you pointing that out, I was like, oh, wait, you're right. It is a narration.
Yeah.
There are a few things like that, and then the ending is different.
Very different.
The addition of more origami animals.
Yes.
Which I wonder the semblance, because I know like cranes mean hope. And I'm uncertain what the other aspects mean.
So he has a couple of them in there. If you remember, he's got...
I love that character, by the way. The way they've have him dressed.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's from Battlestar Galactica.
Edward James Olmos.
Edward
Yeah,
okay,
he was on the reimagining of
Yes.
BSG.
Oof,
Been in a
that
ton
was
of stuff.
awesome.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal actor who's just done
he's
amazing
like the stand and deliver. No.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think it was Stand and Deliver
Yeah,
that he
he's
did
the
in the
principal
in the 90s.
or the teacher.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
He's a fantastic actor who is just his range and his performances are just magnificent. So he's the detective inspector who is kind of overseeing Deckard.
Yeah, I
through
like
all of
his
this.
character. It's interesting. Like I like the way they have him dressed for one, because
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's the first thing I'm going to notice is the fashion of this is chef kisses.
Well, and because we're missing the voiceover in this,
Yeah.
we miss the fact that it is explained to us that he is speaking a mishmash of Spanish,
Yeah.
Chinese, and English that are all jammed together.
That's like that whole Esperanto like vision
Yes.
that we had for the future
Right.
language of America
Yeah.
and the world.
And so that's removed. We're meant to just understand that that's a part of the world that's in there, and other characters are doing it throughout. But yeah, so he makes, if you remember, there's a moment where he makes a little character that's a little man with an erection.
That's right.
Yeah.
That we never saw that before. I was like, what is that?
That was in there before.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I believe that's in the theatrical cut.
Okay.
But there are more. There's more unicorns in here.
Unicorns are important.
Yep. We have the crane, which you noted in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, but there are more unicorns in there. Plus the unicorn dream that he has. That's added. That was not a part of the theatrical cut. He has the dream of the unicorns.
What do you think that means?
I believe the film that Ridley Scott does after this is Legend with Tom Cruise.
Right.
That is all about the unicorns.
Which I love that movie.
I love that one too, and I'm happy to do that one as a discussion sometime as well. I know that is a very flawed film, but I love it.
Who cares?
I know. I don't care either. And that one has a director's cut. There's a director's cut and a theatrical cut for that one too.
I only own the director's cut of that. Yeah.
Oh, you only have the director's cut that removes the Tangerine Dream music.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, which I love the Tangerine Dream stuff.
Yeah.
I have a copy of it on Blu-ray. That's the director's. But then I also have the theatrical version I've saved from where I purchased on Apple Plus. So I have a digital version.
Oh, yeah.
So I have both.
The Blu-ray release I have is both. I have the theatrical and the director's cut on that one, and it's in a big fold-out one.
I think
with
I have
extra
this
stuff
Blu-ray.
in it.
I may not have realized it's both editions because I think they came with a download, and that's why I ended up downloading.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I have that one because while I enjoyed watching his director's cut version, and there are a few more scenes in that one as well. That movie will always be the Tangerine Dream soundtrack. I can't divorce myself from it.
No, it's so beautiful.
It is. And the orchestrational stuff, like I own the soundtrack, the Tangerine Dream soundtrack.
Do you?
I bought that back in the day. And I think I had it on cassette, but then I bought it again on CD so that I could rip the CD and keep a digital copy of it. So like that Tangerine Dream soundtrack is the movie to me. So
Ridley Scott's so all over the place as far as films.
Well, we're in the Ridley Scott world, and he is that way. He's been a prolific director that's done all sorts.
He does that with intention, is to add kind of these themes that he likes to place over and over again. It's like
sure, yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. I don't know. I will tell you I got enough going on in my life, and I'm trying to make my films that I don't necessarily do a lot of research into directors. I don't know if Ridley Scott has a past with his father that he is trying to unravel, but I think I can look at Alien and Blade Runner and not so much aspects of Legend, but then coming back to Prometheus, where it's just like, I think he's trying to reconcile some stuff with his existence and, maybe his father and creation. I don't know. But I see themes like this where I'm and people joke about it sometimes that, a lot of our job and what we're doing is therapy. I think very much so that he is dealing with things in his life, and this is how he is going through therapy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe he just loves unicorns. I'm good with that.
Maybe he loves unicorns.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Maybe he's the unicorn.
Maybe. Or maybe humanity is the unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, this film has so many, I hate to say layers to it, but beyond it being a science fiction, it's what I think it's beyond being a science fiction film, it's also like a crime drama and also a drama and a noir story of finding out who done it. It's a who done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This film really defined noir for me.
Really?
There was a whole existence of film noir prior to this, obviously, that this draws from. But again, because of, I was 11 in 82, so I'm young. and not necessarily understanding film at 11 years old. I don't come from a film background or a film appreciation family background. People that like break down and talk about or discuss film, or really like even an artistic family. So I'm you know, I am my own unicorn in my family. So to be 11, and I don't think I saw this film when I was 11. I didn't see this in the theater in 82. I probably saw this somewhere like around like 88 or 89 on VHS.
I was going to say, I saw it on HBO. I have to have been, like back in the day.
Yeah. So, you know, and I know that by then I had watched The Maltese Falcon and I had seen other films, but understanding genre and understanding any type of cop procedural or anything like this, to me, like when I saw this film, this was a science fiction movie first.
That's what I saw it as first. I mean, it took me into adulthood before I realized the elements of it, not to mention the fact that I realized that it was from a Philip K. Dick book.
Yeah.
And I think I'd read the book before. No, because that's not right. I mean, I read the book when I was pretty young. I'm a big reader, but I think... because I was 8 or so when I had seen this film and not really understood what was going on. My dad's love language to me was taking me to watch movies. And there was like second run theaters we would see a lot of films in. We had a few in like Tennessee and stuff that we would go see, like the second run of films, like weekend they're going to show Blade Runner or whatever. And I was probably like 11 or 12, but it was like well past its, like it was already on, like on VHS and already on the on like Showtime and HBO and whatnot.
Yeah. So this is a film. When I was saying that, you know, this is probably like my first film where I'm recognizing noir, because this is a film that was defining who I was and what I watched.
That's cool.
And without having somebody who talked that language, I didn't always have the words or the understanding for what I was seeing.
Yeah.
So this became the definitive noir for me. And, you know, like those scenes with Bryant when they're in the police station, the first one where, you know, when they go to review the Voight Comp footage from the first guy, our opening scene, and he's kind of telling Deckard, you're not cop, you're little people, and so you have to take this assignment. And it's dark and there's fans going and there's like big heavy light that's coming through the window with the Venetian blinds. And
then rain.
Yeah, and you know, he's smoking a cigarette, but we never actually see him smoking the cigarette. There's just a smoldering cigarette in the ashtray that's always adding atmosphere in the room the whole time. They're both having a snort of whiskey while they're going through all of this stuff, or bourbon, you know, something like that. And so like this was just, it was so, this like literally this is a demarcation line for me in life where I'm like, that's film noir.
Yeah.
With science fiction elements, with, you know, in a science fiction world.
So I don't really know what the budget for this film is.
Yeah, so the budget for this was $28 million, and I don't know what his budget.
That's like a drop in the bucket, like in comparison to things these days.
It is. Well, in 82, I mean, in 1982, I guess if you were to maybe add 3/4 of that back on there to adjust for inflation, this would have been like a $45 million budget. So to do a $45 million budget that's science fiction that has this much going on in layers, that is pretty cheap.
It's
in 2005 dollars.
True.
That's pretty great.
Not to mention casting of this is incredible. I mean, we have Rutger Hauer, we have Daryl Hannah, Sean Young. All these people were really big stars. I mean, Harrison Ford.
But they weren't at that time.
But they were like, I mean, wasn't
they were on the cusp. Like Harrison Ford had. This is a time of, he had Raiders, he had Star Wars as
he's like the
Han
big
Solo.
star.
And
Rutger Hauer was a big star at this, right?
I think they were just starting to be recognized. I think, well, obviously Harrison Ford, yes, because he had that stuff. But I mean, it's interesting. Harrison Ford was becoming a star because of this, but which I agree. I have read some places where Harrison Ford was really the 90s and the early 2000s was Harrison Ford. That's when he became the action hero
Really?
because he signs on and does the Tom Clancy films, and he does Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger.
Oh,
He does
yeah.
Air Force One.
Those
he
were
does
not my
The
favorites.
Fugitive. No, but
Yeah.
but he becomes this kind of solid
He's like the Reacher
action hero of the 90s, and it was these films that really built the stable foundation for him to be able to be that bankable, solid character in what would otherwise just be kind of knockoff action films. I think almost anybody else, you could have put anybody else in The Fugitive, and if you hadn't had Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones, you wouldn't have had a solid film.
No.
You would have had something else that would have been passable, probably cheaper, but it would have been passable film. So, and there were many attempts to be able to have the Tom Clancy books come to life, and it took like 3 other iterations before they ever hit it solid compared to what they had. And they had actually tried. The Hunt for Red October was with Alec Baldwin.
And Sean Connery?
Yeah. And Alec Baldwin wanted too much money to come back, so they cast Harrison Ford in Patriot Games, which blew up, and then he got Clear and Present Danger and did that film.
Okay.
But then he was such a big thing, that a big name, that I don't believe they carried that on. They tried to reset that world and do it with Ben Affleck.
Okay, is that where those come from? That's why those Ben Affleck films exist?
There was
okay.
There was a Ben Affleck, which
I'm so ignorant of that stuff. Like, this was my era of like Jean-Claude Van Damme and like,
well,
I was into those kind of action films.
Yeah. Well, and Ben Affleck tried to do a Philip K. Dick story as well, because they did Paycheck. Back then, that was
but that
a flop.
wasn't a very good. That wasn't a very good interpretation.
I never saw the film.
It was not a good because even like. Gosh, Existence is a Philip K. Dick story, isn't it?
Oh, is Existence really that Cronenberg did?
I think so.
I did not realize that.
It might have been based off of, I don't know, man.
Okay.
Philip K. Dick stuff is so like esoteric, and like it goes in such like different directions. Like he has some stuff that's like very like science and like astronauts and things like that. And then he has these like very like noggin scratching, like deep dives into the psyche of our existence kind of stories. Yeah.
He dealt with mental health issues, didn't he?
Right. He had laser beams from aliens that were talking to him that gave him a clairvoyance of things.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was towards the end of his life, but that was his interpretation of that. Yeah.
But it made him a writer that has garnered attention for decades, and fans that have been committed to his work.
And there are all varieties of fans, kind of like with like this, how this universe is like there's the science fiction nerds, and then there's the action nerds, and then there's actual like film nerds who look at it like us, who are like, oh, but what about this scene, and what about this part of the art, like the soundtrack? Or speaking of which, soundtrack.
Oh,
wow,
Vangelis.
Wow. There are this haunting. Every time we cut to that geisha hologram poster board or whatever.
Yes.
Not poster board, but billboard.
Yeah, that flying billboard.
That the sound that is happening is, there's a chanting that is very indicative of like a Shinto like chant. I don't know. I'm sure it was I know that it was that was meant to be happening, but it's just, it feels so like ethereal and like
it's a disembodied voice
that
is really trying to get you to go, because that's part.
Well, no, the one that's like going, like, and it's
that's
so
always floating
creepy.
on that dirigible, because that is usually also then kind of piggybacked with that whole PA message of like, travel the outer world colonies, find your life in this other place. So it's these disembodied voices that keep trying to encourage you to do something, because when we see that character on those floating billboards, she's always taking something. There's always some product, but I don't know what the product is.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the language or what she's saying. And there's never anything. Now, sometimes there's like another billboard in the background that says drink Coca-Cola. There's other stuff that's going around, but she's always there, and she's not the one that's speaking. It's a disembodied voice that's a part of that. And there's always the big searchlights that are attached to that kind of dirigible thing that are always like flashing down. So there's
very Terminator.
Yeah. So there's always these messages that are being told to us that there is a better life for you, and it is not here.
Yeah.
There is a better product for you, or a product for you that will make your life better. It's not the one you currently have.
Right. There's so much into this film. Gosh, like costumes, costume choices. I talked about that earlier with his partner. Why is his name escaping me? The character's name.
Oh, Deckard?
Deckard's partner.
Edward James Olmos.
Yeah. What's his character's name?
Yeah, that's the detective lieutenant that's kind of overseeing him.
Yeah,
through
what's
the
his
whole
name?
Thing. Yeah, doing
the fashion in this is so spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Between like the pleasure bots, like with Daryl Hannah's character's fashion, to Rutger Hauer's like street, almost like I almost want to say it kind of reminds me of, there's like a Japanese street fashion back in that era that was called Visual Kei, and it was very like long coats with like sleek lines, but also billowy aspects. There was a lot of that. I kept being like drawn into those, and like forget what I'm watching. I'm like, whoa, because I'm now that's what I'm looking at versus like listening to the story at times because I'm just so drawn in by the visual beauty of the film in so many ways. That's why when I saw this exhibit at the Academy Film Museum, I was so blown away by getting to see these up close. And they even had like their outfits were in glass cases in a later part of the film, a later part of the museum. So cool.
Yeah.
Daryl Hannah is a giant, by the way. But everybody's a giant to me. I'm only 5'2", so let's be real.
But she doesn't appear as a giant in this
No,
film.
they make her look diminutive in this because she's supposed to have like this kind of baby voice and like, but it's kind of a gross thing to think about now that I say that out loud.
She's the pleasure model.
She's a pleasure model. So I guess she was supposed to be baby, but also sexy and also like in charge, but also
subordinate.
Baby.
She's meant to be a submissive unit. Yeah. Oh, and the performances are so great in all of this. And
what is the name of the guy who has the Methuselah syndrome?
Oh, that's J.F. Sebastian.
I love J.F. Sebastian's character.
Yeah.
That was such an interesting character too. He's like, I'm 25, but I have Methuselah syndrome, and I'm like,
yeah. I was thinking, wow, he's a graphic designer. He's 25.
Wow. Right?
Because his job aged him. No.
But like, I love the way that because this era of filmmaking, how like age makeup is done. Like they basically put like a face mask on him that wrinkles your face. Cause we use these now to like get like pull out pores and whatnot or pull out like blackheads. But like this makeup was kind of treated on him and James Hong. His makeup was like this too, which is sad because we kind of see him what he looks like now, and we're like, this isn't too far from what he looks like when he gets old.
It's what he looks like now at 95 is what he looked like when he was in 1982 when he was Chew in that cryo lab. Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
How fortuitous or how foretold it is. Yeah, that is those kinds of things. Those kinds of things are what make this film so legendary. And make it ageless, and because of these moments, this thoughtfulness of filmmaker and DP and costumes, all of this is it's such a thoughtful film.
Yeah. And the iconic storytelling, I think probably there's one scene that everybody will always draw to when you talk about Blade Runner.
The rain.
Right.
The tears in the rain.
Yeah, absolutely. That moment of Roy Batty on the roof after his, and with this version, we don't have that voiceover that's kind of spoon feeding all of that bit to us about his explanation. Yeah, it is so much better. The first time I saw it without the voiceover, it was jarring, but watching it now again, it was like, nope, that was the right choice. It should have never been there.
I feel like this is the first time I've seen this with this interpretation. I've never seen the final cut until we did this for this podcast, and I was like, what is... there was moments where I was like, I'm taken out of this and I don't really know why, because I was confused. And now I know, having spoken to you about it, that the reason being is because those elements were removed.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not explaining it to you. And I think it makes for a better moment. So we have kind of our final showdown one where Pris has been killed and it's just down to Roy Batty now, and he and Deckard are facing off at J.F. Sebastian's place. And so there's this whole run through of this kind of dilapidated old apartment complex and, rotting ceilings and leaking water and everything in there. And we end up on the roof, and Roy ends up saving Deckard's life. Deckard is trying to get away from him. He runs across on this roof, tries to jump across onto another building and doesn't make it. And Roy easily jumps across over there and then kind of looks down upon him. And he says it's quite an experience to live in fear, isn't it? That's what it means to be a slave. And right before Deckard falls, and it's played out so well. Like, Deckard starts to slip. He's been holding on with his hand. He spits at Roy with his last little breath, thinking he's about to lose his grip and go. And he falls, and Roy catches him, pulls him up, and then they have their moment. And like I was saying, this very iconic moment for Rutger Hauer, with what he says in there. I have seen things you people wouldn't believe. And I have heard that the final bits of this are Rutger Hauer improvising. All of those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Apparently that wasn't scripted. And then he says, time to die. That was Rutger Hauer talking. I have purposely not looked into this. I don't know if that is true.
I want to believe that mythos.
Because I want
to believe.
Right, I want to believe it, and that has been a thing where I've just nope, I'm going to let that lore live with me. I am happy with that because I want to believe that Rutger Hauer felt his character so much in that moment, and that the director trusted him so much at that time that this is what happens. This is the magic of telling a story, and it means everything.
Dare I say, this was the best Rutger Hauer has ever been in a film for me.
Oh, absolutely. He's done a ton of stuff. The Hitcher is great fun.
Sure. But as far as fantastic acting,
yes,
100% heart, all in, feeling every moment of this character. This is one of those films.
He was an actor that was typecast, and I think that he was happy to be an actor that was always working and doing things. He ended up doing a lot of cheesy stuff, a lot of, kind of horror stuff.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Sure. That's actually great. The film is really great. That's one I haven't seen in a long time. He's really great, but I think he got typecast, but I think as a person who wants to be able to work,
gotta do what you gotta do.
Then you take what you're gonna get because you love what you do so much. And he's a person
weird
I
looking,
think that,
and so I don't think that he's a leading man normally. And so for him to be this was a good, an amazing role. And he's such an otherworldly looking person. I think that's another reason why he gets typecast into stuff. Kind of like, I think that when they did Class of 1999 with Stacy Keach, I feel like that was Stacy Keach was I'm gonna do a Rutger Hauer look, I'm gonna bleach my. I mean, this movie is terrible, but
Well, there was a bunch of actors. There are a bunch of actors from that time that I kind of all lumped together that I love, because there's Michael Ironside, there's Powers Booth, there's Rutger Hauer. There's all of these guys that were kind of acting in these roles.
Yeah.
They were better than the things they were being offered, but they kind of got typecast into these particular positions, and they played those parts. Unfortunately, Rutger Hauer is not still with us. Powers Booth passed away a few years ago. That was one, like, I took that one personal. I was like, God, that was always one of those, because Michael Ironside's still around. I don't know that
What
he
a
acts.
weirdo.
We've talked about him before.
Yeah.
There's several of those where they were the actors of those moments. And there's a whole new crop of those people that are now getting those chances, that are going to get to, write their names in history and all of that. And so, but those were, it's different now. There's just so much more content. I think and I say content because I think there's just so much stuff made. Mm-hmm. You're right. That was his finest performance. And it's why this movie is what it is to so many folks.
Well, and I think you should say the difference obviously people have seen this movie. This movie's it's almost 20 years old, or 25 years, or
it's 43 years old.
Oh no, I mean the new cut.
The 2007.
Yeah.
So it's 18 years old.
So I think it's okay to say the ending changes, which I
Absolutely.
think you should.
Yeah. So in the original ending with the theatrical version of this, it is meant to be that Deckard leaves with Rachel, Sean Young, and again, with the voiceover remaining in this, they're driving away to an unknown but a happy future. It's like, they let her live, and maybe in the end they understood that that's what, that was the one thing that we were going to have. But what they didn't know is they never got to see her file, that she didn't have an expiration date. So we don't know how long we have with each other, but no one ever does. And they're driving away, and that's kind of the voiceover on how they leave it.
Yeah.
As opposed to with this final cut, they are escaping. There is the little paper unicorn that's there that clearly Edward James Olmos had been there and didn't do anything. He let it go, and he jumps into the elevator with Rachel at his apartment complex. That door closes and the film is done. So we're left we're not given the possibility of a wrapped up happy ending. They're on the run now. And that's it.
I like that, the jarringness of that. And that kiss on her forehead when he comes into the room, and she's asleep, and he's like, Rachel. And we're like, oh shit, she's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was great.
Yeah.
Thanks for making me watch the final cut.
Absolutely.
Because when you said you were watching it on 35 millimeter, I was like, I'm jealous, but I'm not going to be able to make it to this showing of it. So I went ahead and rented it, or bought it. Actually, I bought it on Apple Plus.
Yeah. They had 4 sold out showings at the Hollywood Theatre for
People love this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it speaks for its time. It's ageless.
Yeah.
In its ageness. I mean, in its agedness, it's ageless.
Yeah. Yeah, and in its technical aspects of how they filmed this over and over again, it is absolutely, it is a monumental movie.
100%.
Yeah. Thank you for watching this one with me, Gretchen. This is so great. Yeah. Well, and for those of you who don't know yet, we have ourselves a new Instagram, so please go over there and go check that out. We have a new YouTube channel that is exclusively just Check the Gate, so please make sure you go check those out. Please share them. Follow them when you can. If you've noticed, we don't have a Patreon page. We're not taking any money for this. We're not making any money off of it. We do this because we love it and because I love hanging out with Gretchen, watching movies and talking about them. So if you can, just spread these around so other people can see them, and maybe they'll appreciate hanging out with Gretchen as much as I do.
Like and subscribe and smash buttons and those things.
Do all of that stuff. But
so our next film.
Yes, we have another film to watch. Do you know what it's going to be?
I think we're going to watch Pi.
I think we should watch Pi.
Yeah.
And that's a great choice. It's been a while since I've seen that one. It's going to mean something special. Yeah.
It was one of those those films that kind of define me as a young person.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that one. Darren Aronofsky's very first film, made for $60,000.
But it's so good.
Yeah.
So crazy.
It is. Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to watching that one with you, Gretchen. And so I will see you on the next one.